passage through Syria, and that's, if anything, even more difficult than the situation in Libya. So I'm afraid that Egypt's stand and the situation rather in Syria and Libya make another convoy impossible. Therefore, we have to do what we can here. And that's not as disappointing as it sounds, because here is where the problem is. I don't mean just here in Britain, but we are in Britain, and therefore our responsibility is here. But in the old German saying, I can't say it in German, but the real enemy is at home. And that's the fact. Our government, indeed our whole political class, has entirely sided with the aggression and the ongoing agony of the people in Gaza. Just moments ago, the parliamentary colleague of mine from Bradford, David Ward, categorically apologised for saying that which any sane person in the street anywhere in Britain would have said, namely that if I was living in Gaza, I'd be tempted to fire rockets too. Now that's such a commonplace. It is astounding that none of the other MPs had said it, and more astounding that the media and the political leaders, including the leaders of his own party, the Liberal Democrats, demanded an apology, and more astounding still that he agreed to categorically apologise. Thus demonstrating the extent to which the British political class is not neutral, but is on the side of the aggressor, even though it must now be becoming obvious to them that public opinion is pretty overwhelmingly on the other side. The second reason why the main enemy is at home is in the media. We are faced with a media which, I mean, Chomsky could write a book just about these last weeks, about the extent to which words begin to mean the opposite of their actual meaning, of how words are used to engender a certain point of view or a certain attitude on the part of the listener. The obvious ones are there all the time. Israelis are killed, Palestinians merely die. And this is appearing in the same headline over and over again. 2 Israelis were killed whilst 40 Palestinians died. And this reached its apogee on Fox News when John Kerry said, and they put up a headline underneath in case you were in any doubt as to what he said, Israel is under siege from Hamas. When of course Palestine, Gaza, has been under siege, real siege, year after year, indeed decade after decade. But in every nuance of their wordings, in every line that they read, these newscasters and the other analysts are displaying partiality. And we can do nothing about that in Fox News, Sky News, but we can do something about it, and must, in relation to the BBC, because every one of you here, I'm guessing, owns the BBC. I sit in the Parliament which governs the BBC and issues the charter to the BBC and fixes the licence fee for the BBC. Now, I, as you possibly know, have already declared that I will no longer pay the licence fee because I'm not going to pay for a service which is systematically lying to the British people, and not just for that matter on this issue. It's no longer a criminal offence. You cannot be sent to prison for it. You can't even be fined for it. But they can pursue you for the debt. But my point is, and I speak as a veteran of the poll tax campaign, if enough people don't pay, it's not possible to collect it, and it eventually crumbles under the weight. So I'm hoping, without being held liable for any financial difficulty that we might get into, that many people will follow flat refusal to pay, as I think the only meaningful way we can impress upon the BBC how disgusted we are. Last Saturday's demonstration was truly mammoth, but didn't merit a single second of footage on the BBC. In fact, on their website, they belatedly put up a picture and had to put Channel 4's logo on the bottom of the picture. So the BBC didn't even send a stills photographer to take a picture of a demonstration not a mile from their own studios, and which involved scores of thousands, to say the least, of BBC licence payers. But they found time in every bulletin for an incident involving a dog in New York and an unfortunate postman. So these are the kind of things I'm going to be saying here. This won't be our last meeting. Indeed, with the permission of His Excellency, I'm hoping that we can have one again next week if this crisis continues, which I expect that it will. And of course, even if there is a ceasefire, we oughtn't to glorify it with the term ceasefire, because the fire never ceases upon the people in Gaza. And if it's a ceasefire, it will be merely a pause between now and the next outbreak of horrific violence. The only last point I'd make is this, that every cloud, of course, has a silver lining, and the pain and suffering of the people in Gaza has been immense. But undoubtedly, there are millions more of us today can see Israel in its true light than before these events unfolded. And the darkness at the heart of the Zionist state is really very vividly on show. Now, I've been involved in this struggle for a very long time, since the summer of 1975. And between 1975 and 1982, Israel was a very popular country in the world. Now, it's probably the least popular country on the earth. People still move in the interests of Israel, but as I said on Saturday, no longer out of love, only out of interest. And their bank balance, political bank balance, capital, has run down beyond the point of zero and is now very severely in debit. And we have to turn that to political worth. We have to place a political worth on that and exact a price from our own leaders for that. And that's one of the tasks that we have. So we're going to film this meeting and it will be out on YouTube tomorrow. I'm sincerely sorry that so many of you are not going to be able to